Let's imagine a monk asks his master, what is Zen? Well, the master says nothing. He simply picks up a teacup sitting next to him, smashes it to the ground, and walks out. So what just happened? And perhaps more importantly, how does this relate to what we're going to be talking about in this video, namely Zen? Zen is full of paradoxes, questions with no answers, and actions speaking louder than words. But it's not this abstract puzzle to be solved. It's rather all about this authentic, lived experience, about concrete reality. In today's video, we're going to be diving into what Zen is, drawing from two great minds that essentially brought the ideas of Zen into the West, Alan Watts and D.T. Suzuki. So I just brewed myself some coffee for this video, and I'll grab some of that. And before we get into the actual video, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. It helps out a ton. And thank you as always. So this video I'll be mainly basing on my readings of these two books right here. The first is an introduction to Zen Buddhism by D.T. Suzuki. He's a Japanese scholar, perhaps the most famous one, and he was a central figure in bringing Zen ideas into the West. Secondly, we have Alan Watts's The Way of Zen. He is another sort of great mind. I'm sure you've heard about him as well. Definitely helped popularize these ideas also in the West. He's sort of this famous English philosopher, perhaps mystic, depending on who you speak to. So this is what I'm basing most of this video on. Let's dive into it. So what is Zen? Well, that's actually a tricky question to answer because the moment you try to define Zen, you lose it. It escapes many intellectual definitions, and it's really about apprehending reality or experiencing reality directly, without any conceptions or preconceptions, sort of modeling the world that we see. So Zen Buddhism originates from Mahayana Buddhism, and it blends Chinese, Indian, and later Japanese influences. And at its core, it's about emphasizing a direct experience over theoretical knowledge. And you won't be finding these Zen monks sitting and debating about what's right or wrong, but you'd most often find them in meditative contemplation and immersing themselves in the present moment. I think a great analogy that explains Zen is this finger pointing to the moon. Now, if you focus too much on the finger, which would be something like explanations and words, theories, you might mistake the finger for the moon, which is the actual thing, the direct experience. And that's what Zen really tries to do. It's this pathway to experience reality directly without filter or thought. A natural question to ask as a Westerner would be, is Zen Buddhism nihilistic or fatalistic? Because it often talks about things like impermanence and emptiness. Now, it's not that Zen Buddhism rejects meaning, but it's about going beyond our conventional ideas of what meaning and meaninglessness is. So instead of saying nothing matters, Zen might ask, why do we need things to matter? Now, Zen also embraces this idea of spontaneity and flow, which might be interpreted as fatalistic, that is predetermined. But Zen is not about surrendering to its fate, it's about getting in accord or in harmony with reality. And that's what brings out one of the core concepts in Zen Buddhism, which is wu-wei. So let's discuss a couple of the core concepts of Zen Buddhism, starting with wu-wei, which is translated to something as effortless action. It's borrowed from Taoism, and it's this idea of flowing with the natural rhythm of nature, acting spontaneously without forcing your actions. Another concept is zazen, which may be translated to seated meditation, and it's this idea of sitting in stillness and simply watching one's mind. And this is a core practice within Zen Buddhism. Mu is another concept that's central in Zen Buddhism, and it's this negation pointing beyond the categories of yes and no. It points to this fluid and interconnectedness of all things in nature. Now, the most central concept in Zen Buddhism is Satori, which could be translated to awakening or enlightenment. Now, this is not something that will occur through effort, but it may happen when effort is dropped altogether. Suzuki says that Satori is the raison d'être of Zen, and if there's no Satori, there'd be no Zen. It's quite difficult to put into words logically what this Satori experience is. The best that I've found is a little anecdote that I'll share with you here from Dr. Suzuki's book. A master says, "Before a man studies Zen, mountains are mountains to him, and waters are waters. But when he obtains a glimpse into the truth of Zen through the instruction of a good master, mountains are no longer mountains nor waters waters. Later, however, when he has really reached the place of rest, which means that he has attained Satori, mountains are again mountains and waters waters." I think this really points to this thing that what we see, these objects in the world, for instance, trees, etc., we mistake for the word as opposed to the actual thing, or the thingness of the object, which is not akin to a tree. A tree is not a tree, in a sense. But when you realize this, that the words tree are not the same as a tree, you can also move beyond that, I suppose, and trees are again trees, but you're seeing it from a different point of view. And essentially Satori is, I don't know if that makes sense, but essentially I think Satori is this shifting your way of looking at the world, or your consciousness in a way where you're able to apprehend reality more directly without sort of applying all these concepts and thoughts that we have to organize the world, which is very much something that we do, I think, in the Western world. So then the question is, how can we bring some of these Zen practices into our own lives? And these are things that can be practiced everywhere. You don't need to be in a meditation hall, temple, what have you. So that's the beautiful thing about this. I know Eternalized, and I'll link his video, also made a great video on this, so you can check that out. But I have 3 things that I would recommend. The first is meditation. That is simply sitting and watching your thoughts. There are plenty of apps and videos out there that can guide you in these things. And so that would be my first step towards doing this. The second would be mindful action. That is to say, when you are having a cup of tea or you're eating food, what you're doing is you're focusing in on what you're doing in that moment. You're sort of present in that moment. So when you're eating, you're simply eating. You're not distracting yourselves with watching a show, some Netflix series, watching your phone. No, you are supposed to be sort of immersed in the activity that you are carrying out. And the last thing is to let go of control. That is to sort of try and stop to overthink, stop forcing, and try to allow your intuition and will to unfold itself without sort of trying to manipulate it in different ways. And this is sort of akin to this central concept of the Tao, the way, which is supposed to be effortless. So there you have it. That's been an exploration into Zen Buddhism, which is deeply fascinating, I certainly think. If you enjoyed it, I would recommend picking up the 2 books that I sort of based this video on, and then obviously there could be further reading from there. But the main thing is just trying to apply these little tips that I told you earlier to your daily life and see what kind of effect it has. I mean, it's not going to hurt. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And thank you for joining me in exploring the world of ideas. I'll see you next time.